Welcome back to the Takeout, and it's Friday. Takeout Tavern time. Remember, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And always, kids, it's coffee for me. I do keep my wits about me. I prove it every time. Our guest, Deirdre Walsh, covers Congress for NOTUS. Remember, that's News of the U.S. And Ken Thomas, most excellent political reporter nationally for the Wall Street Journal. Let's talk about South Carolina. President's going to be there later on tonight. Darline Graham, there's a sentimental attachment there. But there's also a bit of history. Ralph Norman, who's running, only member of the South Carolina delegation to endorse Nikki Haley in 2024. And Deirdre, as you know, the president does not forget such things.
No, loyalty is huge with President Trump. And one of his most loyal friends was Lindsey Graham. And I think, once he lost Lindsey Graham and Darline was the interim senator, people were surprised that she decided to run for the full term.
Very surprised.
And I think there was a field waiting to jump in and get the Trump endorsement. A lot of them thought they were going to get it. And then he quickly endorsed her, and that sort of changed things. But once she didn't do so well and had to face a runoff and had this gaffe in the debate, I think there has been some real nervousness in the Trump's political orbit about, did they make a mistake? Right,
and this rally is going to sort of put Trump front and center in this. And so whatever the outcome on Tuesday is, he's going to own part of it.
Right. And there's, the backdrop that he issued the dual endorsement in the governor's race with Pamela Yvette and Alan Wilson. And so there's a lot of speculation that maybe we could see something like that
What
happen.
does he say about Ralph Norman tonight, if anything at all?
Right.
If he doesn't, then he's going to stick with Darline. But if he says anything about Ralph, that it might be trying to figure out a way to make a coming loss maybe not sting so much. Let's talk about Texas and Iowa. Cook Political Report moved them both from lean Republican to toss-up in the Senate races. The Texas one, based on the polling, doesn't surprise me. Iowa is kind of interesting, Ken.
Yeah, Iowa is a state that has a history of welcoming Democrats. I mean, obviously, Barack Obama won there twice. Tom Vilsack.
But then it moves hard to Trump in the Trumpian direction. Has been there.
Right. And, this is a state that has been hammered by tariffs, high fuel prices, fertilizer prices. Right. So this is really a place where Democrats could, in theory, flip a lot of these Trump voters.
Josh Turek is the Democratic nominee for Senate. Rob Sand is the nominee for governor. Rob Sand is even more strongly positioned in that gubernatorial race. And there are a couple of House races in Iowa that could also loom large.
Yeah, and I think the economy is really driving the whole ticket there. In terms of the Senate race, my colleague Paul Kane was reporting about this is a place on the Senate map where a Democrat could win with a plurality because there is a third-party candidate on the ticket. And a lot of these races tend to be really close. I mean, Texas is another place where there's a third-party person on the ticket, and that you could have third-party voters determining control of the Senate.
Especially in Texas, because Ken Paxton is a Republican nominee. He ran hard against John Cornyn. There was like $50 million thrown against Ken Paxton by those supporting John Cornyn. Still a lot of bitterness there. They may not vote for James Tallarico, but they may vote for the independent or sit out. And that could be crucial in that race.
Yeah, there's a libertarian on the ticket, Ted Brown, and maybe they can't stomach voting for Paxton.
Or Tallarico, but they park themselves over there.
Right, and it doesn't take that many votes
2 or 3%
in an environment like this.
How do you think the White House is assessing this political environment, Ken? Because it is sitting on a ton of money. The one thing every Republican who you talk to in this space will tell you is, hey, don't pay attention to the polls now because we have not unleashed yet. When we unleash, we got all the money to do it, things are going to be rebalanced.
That is the biggest factor that Republican strategists are talking about internally. There's, roughly $400 million in this MAGA Inc. fund, and no one really knows how it's going to be deployed. I think the expectation is they're going to have to put a lot of it in Texas because Paxton is such a bad fundraiser and Texas is Texas.
And expensive.
But after that, where else do you deploy it? I mean, there are candidates like John Huston in Ohio.
Do you deploy it to North Carolina? Probably not.
Right.
But you have to spend it in Maine. You may have to spend it in Ohio. Alaska is pretty inexpensive, but you're going to have to put some money there.
And you want to spend it in Michigan.
And you've got to spend it in Michigan because Mike Rogers needed it. So where does all that money go? But that is what Republicans constantly talk about.
I mean, they're worried about the economic environment almost being set. I mean, gas prices are not projected to go down even if we do see some sort of off-ramp in the war in Iran. But the economy, could be sort of where it's going to be. So money could end up being the factor determining a lot of these races.
And Ken, as you know, because you're deeply experienced in this space, by this time in an election cycle, late summer, it's sort of baked in. what people have decided about the economy or the trajectory. Some good news in September typically doesn't wear off something that's accumulated all year long.
Yeah, and that's the hole that Republicans are in right now. There's really no end in sight in the Iran war. The Iran war is what's driving up all these costs. And like you say, voters have sort of, had their minds set on their situation.
Exactly. And if South Carolina doesn't go well for Trump, that'll be the 7th endorsement just in the month of August that will have turned against him. That would be kind of a new in-house record and one the White House will not readily embrace. Deirdre Walsh, great to have you here. Please enjoy. Ken Walsh, please enjoy. That's why you're here at the tavern. Quick reminder, The Takeout is available as a podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere else. There you can find each show and our long-form interviews, of which we do many. Happy Friday, everyone.